Thanks everybody for joining us. As you can see, we have newly minted President of Baseball Operations and General Manager Matt Arnold, along with Manager and Manager Pat Murphy, and they'll both open with a couple of remarks, and we'll go into questions. We'll have Owen and Clayton with the microphone, so just raise your hand if you have questions. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, first, just want to say thank you to all the people in the room. You know, that's really important. I mean, throughout the year, we've all been through a lot, and you guys tell the story for us day in and day out, and you're here with us through the grind. And most of all, just want to say thank you to you guys. Thank you to our fans for making it an incredible environment this year, and every year. Honestly, we really felt you during the home field advantage. You know, it meant a lot to everybody here, and to have the fans here, to have all you guys here. I just want to make sure I said thank you for everything you did this year.
Yeah, I don't feel quite the same. Yeah, I'm just grateful to be part of it all, to be honest with you. You know, you come to work every day with a passion. You come to work and you love the people you're around for the most part. And, yeah, it makes it not feel like work, you know. I call it a life work, you know. It's kind of like a vocational priest, you know, like you're committed to this world of that we live in, trying to figure out how to win games and impact people if you can. So I'm just really super grateful. Our fans are incredible. You know, I don't know about you guys because I don't read what you write, but seem to think that nobody really complains too much. But it's, it's a privilege to be part of this thing.
All right, we'll take questions, and we'll start with Adam.
Oh, wow, the mic and everything. I'd be curious for both of you, having had a few days to digest the 4 games against the Dodgers, in light especially of the resources being a part of the story going into that series, what you think coming out of that series and moving forward, trying to get to that next level and having to get through a team like that with resources like that, what will it take and how daunting is that challenge?
That daunting word, we've exhausted everything we can do with that word, right? Is there a redaunted or undaunted and a daunting, all the versions of it? Well, he would have a better perspective, being how he lives it, that world that can have insightful perspective. From my world, I felt like we did not put our best foot forward in that series. And I think it would have made some difference, but the Dodgers were on it. And you know when a team is on it. And the balls we did hit hard, for instance, got caught. You know, our ball in play, I think, was 130, something record low. I don't think the Dodgers are going to play that way every series. It isn't like they're that dominant every series, as we've proved during the season. So I don't look at it as like, how do we get to that point? I don't think there's ever been a team at that point, you know what I mean, could ever aspire to be better than that. It's just, it's what we do. It's like consistently, how can we figure it out? And then we end up in these situations, and hopefully we're playing our best, or things are going great for us at that time, and we don't run into that type of buzzsaw when we did. I think the Cubs series just emotionally took so much out of them, and then to have to come back the next day and play was difficult on the guys. But you know, that's another learning situation for us. So here we go.
Yeah, I'd echo a lot of that. I mean, I think that it's not our job to think about, you know, what the economics of the sport are. That's above all of us. You know, in our situation, we just have, like, what are we going to do about it? You know, that's really where I come at it from is, you know, we're gonna have the resources that we need. We have support from our ownership to put a quality product on the field. There are a lot of small market teams that can't say that, and we can. And then there are also a lot of teams that spent a lot of money that didn't get in, you know, and so I don't think it's just about the money, you know, and about the economics of the sport. They are what they are. And again, like I said, it's just what are we going to do about it?
Todd?
Matt, congrats on the the new role, the new title. With regards to that, does your day-to-day change at all now with this new title? Will anything change as far as what you're doing in your job? And second, wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe shout out some of the guys from the ivory tower in the back there who work with you day by day and how important they are to what you do.
Yeah, just higher tariffs. Probably there will be some tariffs. No, they're honestly, it's not going to change materially. Honestly, it's I've never really been focused on titles at all. Honestly, it's just been something where you keep your head down and you work hard and good things will happen. And obviously thankful to a ton of people here, including this guy, first and foremost, our ownership, family, like just too many people to thank, but especially the guys that are here that I work with every single day. Really, really impactful in my life, and they're some of my best friends too. So it's a great situation. I'm proud to be here in Milwaukee.
Kurt?
Matt, speaking of things changing in this title, does it, just to confirm, does it double at, like, is it an extension, or is that part of it still have to get figured out?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about any of the contractual stuff, but yeah, it's what's out there.
Tom, right behind you.
For Murph, 2 years, 2 playoff runs as the guy in charge now. Obviously, you were with Craig for all those years. What have you learned in just the last 2 seasons that maybe you didn't expect about the manager role or, the day-to-day of this job as opposed to what you were doing before?
Yeah, I didn't realize how great the media was. Got an up-close look at that, and I really do enjoy you people, or most of you. No, nothing that surprises me that much about it. I want to get better. I always say that we're under construction, and that's truth. My notes this morning are about how about this particular thing? Okay, let's look at the difference between beating number ones. That was my topic today. How do you beat number ones? Like what I felt about it in mid-year and what I feel about it now after going through it, and having a bunch of number ones shove on us here in the last 10 games. Like, what's imperative in beating number one? So that I'm just constantly, how can we get better? How can I get better? How can I build better relationships here and there? Be cautious of my sarcasm. Be cautious of things. You don't know. Everybody's not going to take it the same way. So it's just constant trying to figure out. My wardrobe. This is pretty standard costume for me. Off-field costume. So
How many shirts? You said you had like 5?
5 surf nose.
4 or 5?
I have a 5-man rotation. I actually have 7 T-shirts, and I rotate them. 2 of them are the same. It says Hunt and Hit in the same one. You see that one? It's so comfortable. So I got 7 T-shirts actually, 5 of these, and probably 12 pairs of black sweats and 20 pairs of slippy jerseys. Nothing else is required. So it's kind of a wrap right there. That's it. Full costume, every event.
Go to Steve up front.
Did that answer your question, Don?
Murph, just as a former college head coach, just what was your reaction to seeing the Giants hire somebody straight out of the college ranks? And could you have imagined making that jump when you were at Arizona State, going directly to Major League Manager?
I know that from what I know now, how many years later, I haven't been there since 2010, so that's 15 years at least. And what I know for sure is that I couldn't have made the jump successfully. What would facilitate that jump, because it's 2 different games. I say harness racing, thoroughbred racing. What facilitates that thing is if you have a president or other group of people around you that are going to help you facilitate that and the differences. I'm excited for this guy. I hear great things. I've met him before, but I'm not, close associates with him, but I've heard great things about him. They have a great team and a great organization, so I think it's going to work. And I don't think that can happen a lot. I know I wouldn't have been ready. I might not still be ready, as you guys get a sneak peek into sometimes. But it's one of those things that if you have everything in place, helping you through it, I think the best parts of him can come out, the needed parts, the building, the connections, the impact on players, the parts that he's not used to. There'll be people around him to fill him in. And Buster Posey's not dumb. He knows what he's doing. And he knew the scrutiny and he knew the importance of this hire. And I think it'll go well for them.
Adam?
When the offseason begins so abruptly, what is first on your list for either of you of priorities? And one of them is probably coaches' contracts. Those typically are end of the month. Is that right? Is there anything on that now?
Yeah, working through all those things. It's like you said, there's not much of an off ramp. I heard somebody describe it as a car crash. I think that the good teams, don't have the luxury of having an off ramp. So yeah, we're hitting the ground running on all fronts. It's off season planning. It's contracts. It's everything. Getting ready for the GM meetings coming up in a couple weeks. So we're all systems go. Have not had a chance to come up for air. Honestly, came home from LA. Spent all day on the phone Sunday, and then in the office Monday. So it's ready for the off season.
Jack?
Patty's going to ask you a question.
No, go ahead, Jack.
I wanted to make sure you're finished there. You good?
No, I can do two things at once, Jack. I do that often.
Don't they say that's a myth? I think they say multitasking is a myth. You can't actually focus on both at the same time. This is besides the point. You talked about it when you were talking about coming out of the NLCS just a few minutes ago. You talked about it in Game 5 of the NLDS, just how guys seemed drained by a lot of the stuff that they had been through. After seeing that and kind of seeing the performance in the NLCS, is there anything that after that you take a step back and think about ways that you could maybe better prepare guys, whether it's workloads, whether it's the mental side of it? Is there anything that you come out of that experience looking at and kind of drawing from in terms of just setting guys up to hopefully be in that spot again next year?
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely things of, to take note of, coming out. That's immediately what, that was the day that we lost in Los Angeles. That was my first day of notes, postseason recommendations. Like, what are things that are apparent here? Now, do we know for sure that if Contreras caught 10 less games, we would have been better then? No. But it speaks to the fact of how big of a grind it is, especially when you play like we play. Meaning, we have a bunch of guys that are, for lack of a better term, overachievers, guys that play above their physical talent. And is there something about that crushes them after a while? They play so hard. A Durbin or a Terang, a Sal. Is there something to that we need to protect them, that they're a little bit fragile while they're young? Do we need to schedule the off days differently? It's not a guaranteed recipe there. It isn't just as easy. It's not a magic number. And people, well, look what the Dodgers did. Well, they didn't do it by design. They did it by, one, they have incredible depth, and to survive that and survive all the injuries. And they have, a level of talent that is, in the top end guys that's so incredible that they can have a dominant performance. And I don't think we had a brutal performance. We had brutal results, but we didn't have guys trying any less. Or it's just when you face pitching like that, you're not going to, nobody's surprised when a guy goes from one level to the next and struggles offensively. They're like, well, he's facing a higher level. Those pitchers, or at least 3 or 4 of them, that was a higher level than anybody had seen in the year. You know what I mean? That was special stuff on those particular nights. So I don't look at our performance in that against the Dodgers as like that brutal. We didn't put our best foot forward, but yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things to learn from it about how do we get them playing consistent. One is you don't play 5 games in the division series, so you have a couple days. So there's all sorts of things that play into it. And there's no definite, you know, I got a lot of recommendations from a lot of people. And I've got a nice little core of guys outside the organization that do it for a living, and it's kind of got their recommendations, and I just will try to shake it up and garner as much as we can so we can be in this position if we're lucky enough to be. It's not easy to lead the major leagues in wins, so credit to the players and the way they went after it every day. I'd hate to lose that win tonight mentality or show them any signs of not trying to win tonight. I think that hurts your team more, and you could end up sitting at home because you're going to rest guys, you know, and you got a lot of fuel left in the tank.
This could be for either of you guys. Understand there's a lot yet to play out here in the offseason. Aaron Ashby and D.L. Hall, will they be considered potentially as starters moving forward next year? Or is that it's still too early to comment one way or the other on that?
What do you got?
Who do I got?
Yeah, what do you got?
Everybody's considered, you know what I mean? It's like we got a lot of ingredients, you know what I mean? I've said this before, like we're putting them in there, Todd, and we're stirring it, trying to make a good tasting soup. And if it means this guy is this, and then there's a lot of factors involved. What the player wants, what the player believes, what the ivory tower, you know, their belief, and you just kind of try to get it all together there and make it work. You know, I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there's a lot of factors that go into that. Obviously, the depth of the roster and what things look like on opening day is probably going to be different than what it is to now, to this moment. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that they were both successful this year is a really good foundation to start from.
Kurt?
Could have Ashby open the press.
Give this, all right, David, you're on the left.
That was good.
Thanks.
That'd be good.
Thanks.
Matt, you came into the year with kind of questions about what you're going to do at third base and at shortstop. How do you view the production and the results that you got out of Joey and Caleb at those spots?
Yeah, look, I think just very, very different, I think, than the year before. But you know, when you lose somebody like Willie Adames, you feel that. You know, I mean, that's a loss on your team in the clubhouse, you know, everywhere. But I think at the same time, when you see somebody out there day to day, and you guys all watch this team enough, somebody like Joey Ortiz playing the defense that he provided to us this year at a Gold Glove level, you know, the offense wasn't probably where he had hoped it would be, but you're talking about a guy that made every single play and most plays that nobody can get to, honestly. And so thought he was tremendous on the defensive side of the ball. I think he can still grow because he has some really good offensive tools. And then Durbin, you know, can't say enough great things about him. Like Murph said, just you talk about the guys that shined on, you know, on a big stage. I mean, Durbin was one of those, you know, and from where he's come from to what he showed us in the playoffs was really special.
Scott?
At first, someone like Brandon Woodruff, who obviously the last couple of years have been the injuries, but played very well, then came up again. How do you evaluate a contract situation moving forward for someone like him?
Yeah, I mean, you guys know how much we care about Woody. Sat next to him on the bus on the way home from the airport, and yeah, he's been here a long time. I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get into the you know, a little deeper into the off season for sure. But can't say enough great things about him. I mean, one of the things we did yesterday in the office is we have this peaks and pits thing that we've done every year where we talk about the highlights and the lowlights of each season. And you know, when we learned that there was a chance Woody wasn't going to be part of our postseason, you know, that was maybe a low point for me, honestly, just how much he meant to this team. And that was a big was a big loss for us that we didn't have him in the postseason, you know, but care about him a lot, and he means a ton to this franchise.
So Dom and then Steve.
Matt, I know it's early, but with the World Baseball Classic next year, it always throws a wrench into spring training plans. Do you have any idea of how many players are going to be wanting to play, and how does the organization view having players play for their country?
Yeah, I want to support it. At the same time, you want to be cautious, right? And so it's sort of like you got to be mama bear a little bit and just protect your guys. But also, it's a privilege to play in that environment. I mean, you guys have seen that. It's a really cool opportunity for guys. So it'll probably be case by case. Want to be sensitive to guys that, especially if they had a pretty significant workload this year, we want to take that into account as well.
Steve?
For Matt, the last couple of years, you've traded Devin Williams and Corbin Burns when they had a year left in their contract. Freddie Peralta kind of entering that situation now, but coming off a heck of a season. Just how do you kind of balance the decision-making process there and what you want to do with them and that type of thing?
Yeah, I feel like that's been out there, and to be honest, it's not at the front of my mind. Honestly, it's something where you know, of course, you know, we can never shut the door on anything in our situation. Of course, we've had to make very tough decisions, and I think that's part of what we have to do is make tough decisions to help the long-term view of the franchise. But I can tell you that Freddie means more to that clubhouse than most that I've ever been around. And you know, he's a special player on and off the field, and you know, I'm proud to have him as a teammate here.
Matt, with a longer playoff run, I don't know if you guys have had any conversations along this line yet, but does that open up any more doors in terms of just like finances and money to spend on the club this offseason?
Yeah, haven't had a chance to talk too much about that with Mark. He came out here this week, and I'll tell you what, like for him to come out here and just to say thanks to our staff was really cool. Most owners wouldn't do that, and so we talked about this in Murph's office right after we got eliminated in LA, and it was the first thing he said, that he wanted to come out and just say thanks. So I know he cares a ton about the people here and the franchise, and you know, I know he's supported us for a really long time, and I continue to expect that.
Matt, could we ask you about Sammy Peralta, first transaction of the offseason?
Yeah, interesting dude. Not a flamethrower by any means, but you know, a funky guy with some interesting ingredients that we think can help us. He's pitched in length as well, so he's kind of done both roles. So a guy that has some versatility that we think has a chance to contribute next year.
Adam, you have something?
Matt, on the William Contreras news that he'll go see a specialist, is surgery likely there? And looking back on that, maybe for Murph too, having talked to him the last 2 years as he's dealt with that, should he have done that earlier, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to force anybody to do anything, right? I mean, I think that's ultimately up to William, you know, but I think for us, you know, we want to be there to support him however it shakes out. And obviously he's a tremendous warrior and wants to be in there every single day. I thought he improved actually in a lot of ways this year and did a heck of a job behind the plate for us. I mean, Murph talks about all the time of what he means to our pitching staff, and how he calls a game and just the kind of guy that he is. So, but yeah, I think, you know, we'll see what happens there this offseason. But, you know, again, I thought he did a tremendous job this year.
Yeah, I don't think that you have surgery during the season for that. You know, it's something that it's annoying, and it probably plays a part from time to time in an at-bat. But if you don't have it in the off season, you don't have it during the season if you want to, because you can play with it. Obviously, he's proven that.
David?
Along those catching lines, Jefferson Caro, after missing a whole season with shoulder surgery and then kind of being delayed a little bit this year, how comfortable do you feel with Caro perhaps moving forward on the big league roster next year?
Yeah, really good. I mean, this kid, we've talked about him for years. I mean, he's a special person. We had him up here with us. You guys probably saw that he was with us traveling with the team as part of the taxi squad. We thought that was a really valuable experience for him. It's not always just the young guys that are on the field, the guys that took a huge step forward. We talked about Durbin and Mizorowski and Chad Patrick. I mean, there are just so many young guys that were thrown in the fire and did a great job. But the guys that are, you know, behind the scenes, somebody like Caro, I thought that was a great experience. He was in meetings with our pitchers. He got to work out with the team every day and just be around it. I thought it was a great experience for him.
Kurt?
Murph, you talked about kind of seeing the power jump from Bryce in the works over the past year or so. What do you want to see from him as he moves forward and tries to blend the different skills that he has, and what is he capable of in your mind next year?
I mean, I think the key is that everybody continues to just move forward. You know, we saw Bryce make a quantum leap last year and become that stalwart defender, and his offense picked up. Now we've got a glimpse of what it could be. Now he's battling with, and players do this, you battle with hitter, slugger. You know, are you a hitter or are you a slugger? Well, we want him to be a hitter because hitters get on base more than sluggers, and because he has the potential to steal 50 bags plus, we'd like him to be on base and be a hitter and slug when the slug is presented to itself. And I think he'll make that adjustment. I think he understands that. Yeah, I think he's coming into his own. What his potential is, I don't think anybody knows, but it's pretty darn good.
Jack?
This could be a question for both of you guys, but Chad Patrick played a really big role in the first half, keeping the rotation afloat when you guys had some injuries, and then down the stretch and into October, we saw kind of another gear to him when he was pitching in short stints out of the bullpen. When you're weighing a guy's role moving forward, the way it all kind of fits in with the pitching situation, how do you weigh kind of like the floor a guy can give you in that rotation type role versus maybe the kind of ceiling he might have out of the bullpen? Or do you think that's something that he could take back into a rotation role? Just kind of where do you see him and how does he fit into the mix?
Plot thickens.
Plot thickens. See, that's probably a similar answer to what we talked about a little bit with Ashby and Hall. It's sort of dictated by what's around him. And like you said, he did a tremendous job out of the bullpen. He also did a really nice job as a starter in both roles. And the reality is we need to get through 1,500 innings through the course of a season. And somebody's got to soak that up. And he did a great job in that role. And then, like you said, you saw that extra gear in the playoffs and later in the year in the postseason. So it's definitely going to be a balance between what we need, you know, really on opening day.
Go to Dom.
For Matt, when you look at the style of play that you guys had, obviously with, you know, put the ball in play, good pitching, run prevention, and then to see a team like Toronto who has, you know, albeit a little bit more slug than you guys do, but they still play the game in a similar brand. Does that reinforce your belief that this could work, given we've heard all season long that you need slug and all the things that traditional teams do? How do you view seeing a team do it similar to you guys make it to the World Series?
Yeah, I think it's great, and I credit to Murph for sort of just making sure that that's our brand and getting the most out of every single guy that we have. I don't know if it's necessarily either or, right? I think that you have certain guys that just fit, and we've talked about in the past. We had the big boy infield, and we had success with those guys with. What was that? Aguilar, Moose, and
Shaw,
Kratz, Scope, right? It's just like you have the giant, massive infield. Those guys, we had a nice year with those guys. We have, what do they call them? Short Kings now or whatever. You know, that's like, you know, it's just different.
What'd you call them?
That's what I've heard. People say that. I don't know.
Short
That's the
Kings?
thing. I've heard that.
Who's
So,
doing that?
I don't know. I'd be careful. Those guys are tough.
Did you guys create that?
I would be careful with that.
Short Kings?
I heard that.
Wow,
But,
that's
like,
cool.
Careful, they're sneaky strong. Yeah, really. I mean, just everybody. You know, it's just I don't know if it's either or. You know, I think there's a chance to do it with both.
All right, Todd.
This is probably more a question for Matt, but Murph, feel free to jump in. With regard to Craig Yoho, what do you think? How would you characterize what went wrong for him this year, if anything? And do you still foresee him being a part of the mix in the bullpen moving forward?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think when you look at what he did in AAA, I mean, he was phenomenal, and then he got to the big leagues, and his role changed a little bit, and he's got to be ready for that. He's a young guy on the roster. He's got to be able to do a lot more here. You know, we're going to demand more. I think that's a good thing. And so I wouldn't characterize what he did in the big leagues as who he is necessarily, because we've seen really, really good flashes of that guy, especially, you know, later in the season too. So, you know, I think there's still plenty to be excited about Yoho.
Adam?
I think this is probably more for Matt too. With the way Churio finished with the hamstring, at this particular point in time, do you anticipate that being an instance where the club may like have a say in his winter ball plans?
Probably. Yeah. But again, I want to be sensitive to each individual case. You know, I think that we care about the guys a ton, and we just want them to be as successful as possible.
Just follow up on that, maybe for Murph. Where did you see growth from Jackson this year?
Yeah, I mean, he doubled up on a really fine year. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, you're not just granted these tools and then you just keep repeating them. You know, like he came into the year with more expectations. He came into the year, he dealt with injury for the first time, not coming into the year, but in mid-season, he dealt with injury for the first time. He still produced. He still showed up in the postseason in the biggest games of the year. He improved defensively. You know, I don't think he went in, he didn't have a longer swoon where he was leaving the zone and not being selective. It was a shorter time doing that, so I think there was growth. Is there more growth in there? I think this guy's special. I think, I think he's special.
Todd?
For either of you guys again. Isaac Collins, for several reasons, I know he kind of tailed off toward the end of this year. Do you feel confident that we'll see more of the Isaac Collins from the first half and going into July next year? And, you know, he could be that type of player over the full season?
You have to get that opportunity. You know, I think guys that get that opportunity have a chance to show you. Now, the key is going to be for him, does he get that opportunity to do that? And if he does, I think he'll be even better because he's a student of the game and he's aware of what makes him good. You know, you guys talk about damage. You know, damage is presented to you and you have to be ready for it. And I think he did as good a job as anyone understanding that and being a switch hitter, playing, you know, full-time in left field. It was a great learning experience for him. So can he take a step forward? Absolutely. He's got to be given that opportunity. Can he play part-time and still contribute in a big way, maybe not putting up the numbers? Maybe. He's a nice piece. I mean, it was a great find by these guys to bring him on board, and then when he got his opportunity, he sure made the most of it.
Go to Kurt and then Steve.
When you guys look at the first base situation between Vaughn and Bowers, do you feel like you landed on something there heading into next year, or is that a spot that you feel like you're going to have to evaluate pretty closely as the offseason goes on?
Yeah, I think we'll you know, throughout our conversations, we're going to evaluate every position, you know, and that's certainly one of them. But can't say enough good things about what Andrew Vaughn did and who he was here in the clubhouse, and Murph can speak to that better than I can. But I thought he was awesome to have here, and what he did. You know, I think about we talked about the pits of the season. One of the peaks for me was we go down 3-0 and he hits that 3-run homer, and you're like, we're back. You know, I mean, that was awesome. So that's peak for me.
What do you guys feel when that happens? Like, so Adam, I'm going to put you on the spot because you're like the seniority of this group. I think not the seniority, but you're like super respect. No, that's what you do to me. But no, you're like well respected. You know what I mean? Maybe not liked by all of us, but well respected. What did you feel when Vaughn went? We're down 3-0. Are you typing like during this thing? So when who were we playing? The Cubs.
Yeah.
Cubs go ahead 3-0. Are you like going like this, typing up there?
No, probably technically, yeah. I mean, it's like reset. Yeah, that was the
No, but when it happened, what did you feel personally? Can I ask you that question? You ask me questions all the time about what I feel.
What did I
I'm gonna ask you.
personally?
Yeah, what'd you feel
I
when,
think I probably turned to Steve sitting next to me and said, "Holy
crap?
shnikes!" Yeah, like that was the biggest home run of the year.
But what did you feel? Like, what were you feeling on the inside?
I was feeling like excited because I'm at a baseball game. And
That's what I wanted to hear, man. Oh, you were at just a normal baseball game.
Well, I mean, what did you feel?
I felt exhilarated, like, yes. I was like, that's so beautiful. I mean,
Do you ever feel exhilarated when something happens, even if it's not something you want? Like when something.
oh, so you were pulling against us. You're saying you were pulling against us. You were rooting for the Cubs.
Sometimes things happen in a baseball game, epic, like maybe in the last game of the year, where you also turn to someone and say, "Holy shit."
So did you have the same feelings? That's what I want to know. I was going to ask that next. Did you have the same feelings when you saw that historic performance against us as you did when Vaughn hit the 3-run home?
I will say yes.
All right. Like a pro. He's a pro. I couldn't break his professional core, could I? Stern knew where I was going with this thing. He was like, Stern was like this. You know? He was like, don't ask me that. But I want to know.
I mean, it's different. It's different, but similar.
We could do peaks and pits with these guys.
Yeah, we can do peaks and
that'd be
pits.
kinda
What do you,
fun.
peaks and pits for you guys for the year? What's your biggest moment this year in Brewer baseball?
The Monasterio home.
Really?
Or one of the Yelich with the
Oh, wow. Go ahead, Kurt. What was yours? You see, this is what I put up with. This is. I know what you felt when that went out. Yeah. You were like, you know, remember when Euchre was celebrating with us and he did this? You were feeling that. You were feeling that. I know you were.
All right, Steve?
That's his role. That's his role.
Yelich was almost exclusively a DH for you this season, had a nice year for you in the regular season. I'm just wondering, is that his role moving forward, or how much was that just first year coming back from back surgery, and maybe he could play more of a position, more in the field next year?
I think the door is open. He was coming off back surgery. We wanted to keep him off his feet. He's an important part. We had enough outfielders, and then Perkins was down, and then Mitchell was down, and so we got a little outfield play in there. But I think the door is open. You know, like this guy's a great athlete. He's still young, and he's willing to do whatever we ask him to do.
Take a couple more, if we have any.
I mean, anyone can ask a question.
Sophia, got anything? All right. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, no, hey, Adam's got another one. Come on, Mike.
Well, they weren't doing
Just because you
anything.
don't like working, it doesn't mean we don't.
Rooting interest now. How do you view, maybe for both of you, the bullpen situation? McGill showed he could do it for a year. Abner showed he could do it and put together a really, really great season of 75 appearances. Do you view that as a conundrum in any way going into next season?
I mean, I don't think it has to be a designated closer or anything like that. I think we never intended things exactly in the off season, like, okay, you're going to be this, you're going to be this. I think it evolves into it. I think there's a lot to take in. Bullpens are so volatile, you know. I mean, if we've learned anything, we don't know who, you know, is going to be doing it. But I think McGill took a big step forward, and this is home for him. And you know, he's really found a home in the big leagues. And I think same way with Uribe. I mean, I think he had a lot to show us this year, coming off last year's suspension and that type of thing. He had a lot to show us, his consistency, his work ethic, and he did that and more. So we're pretty fortunate to have two guys. They got to get their rest, big workload, make sure they're 100% healthy coming in. Yeah, I think they're both pitched significant innings for us.
I think Tom had. Yeah.
So, you know, back to what we were talking about, peaks and valleys of just that historic game, obviously in Game 4. as baseball fans, how hard is it to know that it's against your team and obviously you lost the game and it's frustrating to lose a series? Are you able to compartmentalize, like you may have watched baseball history unfold, unfortunately, against your team?
Yeah, I mean, I don't look at that as anything I spend any time on, Don. Like I don't like to lose no matter what game it is. 10-0 to, 1-0 to no hitter to one hitter. Like it's just like it is what it is. Let everybody else enjoy the historic moment. I didn't enjoy it that much, but I knew what I was part of. It was like a 12-year-old in Little League. You know what I mean? It looked like the big 12-year-old in a local Little League game, and he hits 3 homers and punches out everybody. It didn't feel that good, but yeah, I don't categorize that as, oh my God, that's against us. Yeah.
Jack?
You guys still had a lot of success this year taking extra bases on balls in play, but not quite as much as you used to have on stolen base attempts. How do both of you guys kind of perceive that? How do you evaluate that? And then where does that aspect of your game rank on the priority list in terms of just trying to get that back to where it was a couple of years ago?
I love talking, Matt, so
I know.
now that you're president, you have like
Oh my God.
so many more,
Okay.
so many more. Like,
Yeah, it's been a base running's been a big part of our game for a while here, and to Murph's credit, I mean they put a hyper focus on it as well, and yeah, I think we noticed that there were some changes this year, but at the same time, I still think we led a lot of categories in base running as well. So we'll continue as we work through the off season to make sure that that's a priority going forward, because we have a lot of really good athletes, and we want to make sure that they're successful on the bases.
and teams know we do now, so there's more defense for it. You know what I mean? There's more people being hyper vigilant about what our potential is there and why and who are the targets and mixing things up and trying to. It's not as easy to do it when you've done it repeatedly, and it can be defended. I mean, it can be defended, but you have to make that a priority in your life too, and more teams are doing that. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to surprise anyone or to, get that edge. But it's how we have to play, in my opinion. I've always said we have to beat people in different ways, and if you can beat them in a lot of different ways, it makes it hard to defend us.
Adam?
It wasn't so long ago that you had Burns, Woodruff, Peralta as that young core of starting pitchers. But now going into next year, that list is maybe like 5 guys long of like young starters at your disposal. Does this feel like that? Does this feel like maybe there's more numbers of young guys that you think have a future as starting pitchers? Where do you feel the starting rotation stands right now?
They're young, with the exception of Freddie. I think that we do have a lot of young pitchers. Some not totally proven, but the upside is great. And that's a credit to these guys and how they acquire players, and you look at the Priester acquisition. I mean, if there's a number one acquisition of the ones that I know of somebody, a fairly obscure guy who all of a sudden comes on the scene. I don't know how many games we won when he pitched. What was that number, Mike?
19 in a row.
19 in a row when he pitched. You know what I mean? So, like, that's the kind of stuff that makes us able to keep afloat.
Anything else? Matt, Murphy?
Jack's got a question. Jack's got a
Jack,
question.
you have another one. Okay.
Geez, Mike,
I didn't see him.
I'll do both of our jobs.
Matt, kind of off of that point about the pitching, has it been a priority for you guys to keep your scope as wide as possible, like not just focusing on one kind of pitcher, one kind of profile, and to put pitching staffs together, how important has it been to kind of have the ability to bring all kinds of different arsenals, all kinds of different builds in, and find ways to bring out the best in those guys?
Yeah, no question. I think if you even look at a guy like Sammy Peralta that we just picked up, probably a little different than Jacob Mizorowski. And so, yeah, we're going to always cast a pretty wide net. But these guys, again, our coaches, Hookie, Jim, like all those guys deserve a ton of credit for what they do with those guys once they get here. They really do.
And the Japanese market with guys with great splits. You know what I mean? Like we can start to.
A lot of pickings.
The way the Dodgers looked in the weeds and got the guys that they got.
All right, anybody else? All right,
I can't.
thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Such an easy read. You guys are going to be able to send your interns to this because you know what I'm going to say. Right? You're like, intern, go to this one. He'll say this and then this and then this.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you.
What's that? Oh, the intern? No, run him out. We ran him out pretty good. He's not doing this work, of course. We had to find out quick he's not qualified. We did. All right. Matt will be up here for about the next 30 minutes if you guys want to just talk to him.
Nope. Got a thing.
Got a thing.
Thank
Clark Lee?
Thank you. Thanks, guys.